So last week, I lost my job of 2 years in a layoff, and I basically saw the company uh, grow from about uh, 30 or 40 people up to about 100 people uh, in 1 year, and then uh, in about the year following that, I basically saw the company drop from its peak of like 100 people down to about 12 where it is right now. And the company that I worked for, I'm not going to name them or anything like that, but um, they basically manufactured um, large backup generators for data centers and um, for like facilities and things like that. And they had when I first started there, they had not shipped a single project in like the last 3 years before that. And then I started working there, and then we were basically trying to ramp up to getting a couple projects. And we had a couple like one-off projects that were like small generators, and I was I was kind of like the electrical lead on one of them, and uh, we we built the one, we shipped it out, and then we had a couple other projects with with generators, and then we got this one really big project for Amazon, and it was like we were basically making backup generators for Amazon AI data centers. And this was part of a big contract to um, like they needed like 22 of these modules, and there were two that we had to build for like a qualification test, and then there was a follow-on of another 20 that would be like production units. And um, those 20 were kind of like a big deal because if we could finish those out, then we would get repeated business forever. And so we basically we dropped everything for this Amazon project, and then we spent the last year doing everything for Amazon, and then we basically finished all the design and everything, and then we had a couple problems with um, this contractor that we used for all of our labor, and so it was like a separate company out in our shop. Like we had a huge shop. I mean, it was I think like 300,000 square feet or something. It's like the uh, biggest warehouse they could find, and um, we we were also running behind because we had this other contract that was for like a military base, and that was also a big deal because if we were running late on that, then we were going to have some other problems. And so they were uh, basically trying to build 20 modules for Amazon and like another nine for this military base. And I think they just realized that they didn't even have enough space out in the warehouse for everything, and B, their labor contractor was. It kind of seemed like they were sabotaging us, where the labor contractor they were trying to make it seem like um, everyone in engineering was doing. Um, I wouldn't say a bad job, but they were, making mistakes and missing things, and that because engineering was missing things, then the people out in the shop that they would have to spend more time making up for things and fixing them, and they would kind of do that as like a contract negotiation thing. And I mean, it was very effective for about the first year, and then everyone kind of got wind of it, and then um, it kind of went back and forth between the shop and the people in the office, because you kind of have like these um, you know, highly intelligent, white collar, young kids that are in engineering, and then you have, these experienced blue collar people out in the shop. And on one hand, the people in engineering in the office, they definitely want to get feedback from people out in the shop. Um, but on the other hand, when people in engineering say something needs to be made a certain way or done a certain way, um, you can't just go ahead and ignore that. There's normally a reason why engineers spec out certain things a certain way, and there was a lot of times where, you know, sometimes there might actually just be people out in the shop that are inexperienced as well, and they're trying to figure things out, and they're just trying to get things done. I can understand that, but then they don't even follow the drawings, they don't look at them, or they can't read them, and they end up just figuring out some way of just slapping it together, and then it becomes a problem later on. And so anyway, we had tons of these problems, and what ended up happening was we lost. Well, I mean, we shipped out this whole contract with the military base, and that was a relief. And then we got more space out in the shop where we could basically do activities, where we can actually finish out the rest of our stuff for Amazon. And then so they try and complete the other stuff for Amazon, and then they're also running behind on that. And because they're running behind on all their contracts for Amazon, and I mean, like, Amazon basically becomes our only customer at that point. And the when we're running behind on that, then the contractor that we're working with, or the middleman between us, they start doing like contract renegotiations, and then they start pushing back on when payments are going to come in and that sort of thing. And because of that, we started getting paid late, and we started getting paid not just like a day late, 2 days late. Sometimes it was like 2 weeks we were paid late. There was one time about a year ago that we were paid late about a month, and it kind of became like a common occurrence where like every couple months they'd be late a little bit, and then they'd say sorry, and it's like, okay, we understand and everything like that. And then they had layoffs. They had layoffs last year in January, and then they had layoffs this year in January. And it seemed like, it was like people in other departments. And the one last year, it was like people that were kind of like out in the shop that were, it seemed like maybe they just weren't necessary or something, and that's why they were laid off. And then it moved to project management, where pretty much the whole office and project management got laid off, and that was within like a week. And I felt like they were really trying their hardest, trying to complete the projects and catch up and everything like that. But I mean, that whole office got let go. And then finally, about 6 months later, now about half of engineering is let go. And so we're getting let go, and then I'm not getting severance, even though I've worked there for 2 years, and we're already being paid late. Which, I mean, they were already late 2 weeks, and then we got laid off, and then it's gonna be another 2 weeks before we finally get our last paycheck. And um, I mean, every company that I've ever worked for before has always given me some sort of severance, and uh, you know, I've just you know, I've never been paid late before. I've always gotten severance, um, and there's I wish that everything with this company had worked out, because we put a lot of work in on the engineering, and um, it's really difficult when you engineer something for like a whole year, and you're staying late, you're putting in work, you might being paid late, and you put in all this work, all this effort, and you have these debates at work over engineering problems, and then you finally find out that this project that you worked on, that it's not actually it's not even sold yet, and you're not even going to be able to see your work get put into production or anything like that, and then having to switch gears and go into another project and start from scratch, and starting from scratch, working really hard for the next year, and having them build all this work that you put all this effort into and arguing about it, and then just because of the fact that it gets built a little bit late, then they basically cancel the whole contract and try and move it to another company to finish it out. And I just wish it could have worked out better, but I mean, at least I had a good time working with the people that I did. I learned a lot. I got to work on some interesting things, and I've got uh, I've got connections with a lot of people, at least, and all these 10 engineers that are going to leave and go to other companies. I can uh, talk to them, and uh, you know possibly work with them and that sort of thing. But uh, you know, definitely had a lot of fun. There was always a lot of promise and a lot of hope that we could basically just have a single product that, as soon as we get into manufacturing, then they could just keep stamping it out, and then we'd be able to start working on other like bigger projects while they're out in the shop, getting revenue, making the same thing over and over. And that whole um, all that hope, you know, just goes out the window, and uh, you have to find new things to do. But yeah. Uh, anyway, if anyone has any recommendations or ideas uh, on what I should work on next, what industry I should go into, should I be working in software development, electrical design, or AI or something like that, I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Or if you have any other comments or ideas about the whole situation with this company, and should I have left sooner, earlier? Um, there's been lots of people that have come and gone, and uh, a lot of other people that left when they wanted to, and everything like that. But anyway.